What's up, everyone? You know who I am. I'm Jack Slater, aka the Comic Outlaw. Yeah! Check us out on YouTube, man. And now we're doing the Sensational She Hulk, issue 3. Yup. And just because it's the third issue, it's time for a guest star. And who better to kick off issue 3 than Spider-Man himself? Yeah. Now, the headmen had captured She Hulk. They were about to saw off her head. Did they do it? Did they take her body? We're going to find out now. Spider-Man is traveling around New York, doing what Spider-Man does, basically on the case, looking for a villain, looking for something to do. Probably looking for a cheeseburger, knowing Peter. But he's swinging around, doing his thing, and his spider sense just will not stop twitching. It just keeps going and going until he finds Mysterio. And Mysterio is holding a briefcase, which usually means Mysterio is either coming for a crime or he's about to commit a crime. Because you never know what that man has in that briefcase. It could be anything. So Spider-Man decides to follow him. Either he'll take him to his base or he'll take him to the meeting spot. So either way, Spider-Man's going to have some major booty to kick. He just prays that Mysterio doesn't turn around while he's telling him because he fired a web in the back of his car. And isn't it kind of funny that he's flying, or instead of flying, he has a car. But anyways, the headmen have done it. They've taken She-Hulk's head. And they put like this little thing on top of it so they can switch heads out. And now they have full control over She-Hulk's body. Yes, you've heard it right. They've cut off her head. And this is She-Hulk just breaking the fourth wall long before Deadpool ever did it. Freaking out, saying the editor said that they would never cut off her head. But no. And then she goes on talking. She has a little pie in the face. And they decide to get back to the story. And I'm a little surprised, too, they cut off her head. But after a big fight between Mysterio and Spider-Man, he opens the suitcase and they realize that it's play money. They played Mysterio for a fool. And now Mysterio is pissed as hell, and he just rats them out and says that it's the headmen. And Spider-Man's like, the headmen? He hasn't heard of these guys for a while. They're basically just a group of scientists that kind of experimented, did different things. Like one guy put his head on a gorilla body. There's a scientist named Jerome that did an experiment on his bones shrank, but his skin didn't. And a female, her name was Ruby Tuesday, they switched her head out and it does all kinds of projectiles and stuff like that. There was also a psychic that they couldn't control, so they put him in an amalgamation of different parts. Who they're trying to get under control right now, since he's basically freaking out. But Ruby Tuesday uses her powers to kind of sort of trap him and bind him so they could tranquilize him and bring him back. But Spider-Man shows up and he uses his webs, and as no good deed goes unpunished, Ruby Tuesday turns on him and attacks him. Because, he's Spider-Man. And whatever they're up to, Spider-Man's pretty much bound to stop whatever it is they're going to do. So she begins trying to kill Spider-Man. She fires a bunch of arrows out of her head. Of course, the Ape-Man jumps in, and Spider-Man just outclasses him. He's stronger than him. He's faster than him. He has spider sense. But this scientist has one trick up his sleeve. Something he hasn't tried yet. He pushes a button, and out pops She-Hulk's body with She-Hulk's head in a little container. And now he uses She-Hulk's body as a weapon. Knowing that if Spider-Man hurts the body, he hurts She-Hulk. So he's kind of in a pickle here, and he has to figure his way out of it. And of course, She-Hulk is wondering what the hell's going on. Surprised that it's the third issue. Has she been asleep a month? No, it has to be a couple days in her world. See, I kind of love how they break the fourth wall in this. And she's just tripping out that her body is actually fighting Spider-Man. And she's a little surprised that Spider-Man's there. And she's surprised that her head's gone. And she's watching her body fight Spider-Man along with a bunch of freaks. So, as Spider-Man's dealing with this, his spider sense is flaring up. And his spider sense can become overpowered with multiple enemies. As you can see, She-Hulk's body grabs onto him, slams him against the wall. And they think, yes, something else to experiment on, to play with. Meanwhile, in another building, this guy's basically talking about police bulletins, shows what he's going to do next, what's going on with him, blah, blah, blah. It really has nothing to do with the story per se now. But they take that scientist's head, who was a powerful psychic and who lost his mind when he was attached to all those things, and they attach him to She-Hulk, which does bring his mind back to consciousness, but He does not like having a woman's body at all. He is pissed. And he doesn't want the strength. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He wants a man's body. And She-Hulk would want her body back. So they kind of agree on something. He grabs the ape man and kind of throws him towards She-Hulk's spot, but since She-Hulk can't dodge, he kind of points that out, you know. But as Spider-Man's on the operating table, he kind of wakes up, you know, dazed because this guy's throwing everyone over. And this guy decides that he wants Spider-Man's body. Young, powerful. He wants the powers of Spider-Man. And he wants them to remove his head and put his head on Spider-Man's body instead of She-Hulk's. But with one punch, he knocks that head off. I guess the super glue hadn't set in yet. But it was some strange collar or something holding on to a She-Hulk's head. And I guess with a little razzle-dazzle, they kind of skip ahead in this one. They attach her head. And the chase is on. The headmen are trying to leave. But with Spider-Man and a very pissed off She-Hulk in tow, he drops her off in front of this death machine, this tank. And that is not going to be enough to stop the rage of She-Hulk. She is pissed. And she is ready to whoop some ass. And boom! I love that. She just rips it apart. Oh, vicious, vicious girl. And Spider-Man pretty much says it all. Wow. Wow. I'd buy that for $1. And She-Hulk just begins to start wrecking these guys, mopping the floor with them. Of course, Spider-Man helps out a little bit. The ape man tries to run away, but She-Hulk does her leap and gets in front of him and gets a little payback for her losing her head, temporarily, of course. Gives him a good hard smack. They round everyone up. And of course, Spider-Man says that guy's mini head was in the collar. So that's who actually was in charge, not the Beast. And they kind of feel sorry for them. But then again, they're villains and they try to cut off her head. So, And what will happen the next time? We'll find out, won't we? And I'll catch you on the flip side. Yeah.